It's short and sweet, okay? But bitch, you gonna have to kick some ass, okay? Um, I'm gonna go ahead and post on the new channel the Divine Masculine card. But I'm gonna tell you like this. This is gonna go against what I have said before, but it's for good reason because I have new definition. Okay? And I'm gonna say this for divine masculine and divine feminine, okay? You're gonna have to kick some ass. And you know who ass you're gonna have to kick first? Your own. Okay, bitch? I'm talking to male and female. It is not the war of the sexes that's really going down. It is with understanding your true identity, okay? The person to whom you are and who is also a reflection of who you are is fucking screaming for you to tag them in, okay? And a lot of us, including me up until recently, were stubbornly allowing um, an outdated, and this is a lot of us, it don't feel singled out, but an outdated version of yourself to lead you. And a lot of this is things that we've come to believe about ourselves due to what relationships and or circumstances that we've created for ourselves as a reflection of a improper view of what we're capable of and who we are. And bitch, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's time to stop the dumb shit. Period. Okay? It's about to be savage out here. And the reason I say that is I'm seeing it consistently with my clients. I'm seeing it in their readings. And one thing is that I tend to notice trends. So, though I have different people who have different reasons why they need a reading, I'm seeing a continuous thread. This fucking Venus retrograde in Capricorn, bitch, for both men and women and for us all around the world, has rock'em and socked us, rock'em and sock'em our asses into reality. Okay? Let me tell you something. You're awesome. You're awesome. Do not take what I'm saying as a need for you to accept something that is not your absolute reflection. But bitch, you gotta know what the fuck you look like. You gotta know who you are. You feel me? A lot of us will end up with our feelings hurt because, for one, either we're overinflating some sort of sense of entitlement based on what we believe we want, based on what someone else has, based on someone else's stamp of approval or lack of stamp of approval. We're going after situations, whether it be money, jobs and careers and or people, and getting frustrated with the person when they don't fit into our perfectly designed plan of action. Little do you know, like, we really need to have a series on this shit right here. And I will shout out anyone who I believe can more eloquently put it together than I am about to. But you literally are playing yourself. This is not about, listen, do not get on this other BS kick where people like to believe because they were misaligned in relationships that it's the other person's fault. No, bitch, it's your fault. Because it's a good chance that if you knew who the fuck you were, okay, you wouldn't have played yourself. A lot of y'all want people who you feel entitled to. And when that person comes through, does whatever it is that you believe them to do, and it's still not enough to sustain them, then they're the worst person in the world. They fucked you over. They're a fuck girl or fuck boy. No, you fucked yourself over. Each and every single one of us has fire placements in our chart, whether you're a fire sign or not. And I'm going to tell you something. With fire signs, when they're in their highest vibration, they're not competing, they're owning it. Yeah, we're in Capricorn season. And remember, Mars is exalted in Capricorn for a reason, okay? Shout out to all of my Venus and Mars in Capricorn. Me, I'm Mars in Aquarius, so I'm altruistic in my viewpoints, okay? And kind of wild with the way I uh, go about some things, okay? And not at all on the chain. Can't be, all right? Even in my seventh house, I have Jupiter and Uranus conjunct, okay? And my Jupiter house, the ninth house, is Aquarius with Mars there. So, my counterpart is going to be just as crazy. And I'm saying that, and some of y'all are afraid of that shit. Some of y'all are really legitimately afraid of finding your counterpart. Some of you want what you believe is a safe bet because you know you're fucking crazy. You know that you are ridiculous. That you do things based on a need for some variety and excitement, and that you get bored easily. And it absolutely terrifies you to meet someone with those same characteristics, or you meet what you are and you're not satisfied with it. You get burned by it. And so you can't tell whether you're hurt because you were burned by it or if you're angry because it burned you first and you didn't burn it down. We have to, society has to realize that we love a good train wreck. Okay? We have to understand. I don't care. I've been on this shit, happy full moon to everyone in Cancer. Fuck all the bullshit. I've been on this shit for the last weekend. And it just occurred to me. You're not, you, me, us, we're not going to get it until we get ourselves. Why wait your whole 20s, your whole 30s, your whole 40s, and for some of you, your 50s to understand intrinsically who you are? I'm going to talk to women for a minute. If you had a penis with your looks at your best, when you're drinking your water, bitch, when you're working out, okay, when you are on your rock star shit, if you had a penis and your interest, if some of us are fluid, same sex, but if you are opposite sex, and you could just imagine with what you know now that you're in your late 20s, my demographic, middle to late 20s, some actually early 20s, which I actually love, maybe because of what I'm speaking about. And there's a lot more indigo kind of presence in our zennial and millennial demographic, but my demographic, pretty much just like me, is varied, right? But if you were a male, I want women to really exercise this shit right here. And you know how you can pull. If you're a woman who is aware of her beauty, your sexiness, your hotness, your sex game, I want you to translate that into masculine energy. Okay? I want you to sit with yourself, because if you can't do this and be honest with yourself, then sit down, go ahead and get your subscription to the wine club renewed, bitch. Okay? And make sure that you keep a couple, if you're still fertile, a couple plan Bs. Okay? Or a certain type of doctor on speed dial, because you're lying to yourself. And the reason why I'm doing this is not for you to regress, okay? All right? I want you to realize who the fuck you are and why and who you are attracting and how that has nothing to do with your counterpart. I want you to really be honest here. And let's say you do not have estrogen and progesterone. Mind you, women have all three. We have testosterone, progesterone, and estrogen. Men produce primarily and only testosterone. Okay? There is a theory that if we didn't have testosterone producing males, that women would then make it up, which is why you have a lot of masculine presenting women in today's society. And we'll talk about that too, because we need to talk about it from different perspectives and not just the male dominated perspective, because they're not women, so they can't speak from it from a woman's perspective. And generally, when we do have women who speak in male dominated spaces, the woman is of a certain state of mind to where she is primarily kind of a coach or a um, I won't say submissive, because there's nothing submissive about it. If you are surrounded by men, if you are comrades with men, as much as you would like to believe that you're submissive, you're not. Because just the nature of having the gumption to be in a male dominated field, even if you are in support of male topics, is still masculine in nature, even if you present feminine. Okay? So let's not get that twisted either. But knowing what you know, and if you were a man, what kind of man would you be? With knowing how women, how us, we, you and me, how we receive things and how we attach and how we're competitive. Because mind you, women have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. So this whole, we got to imagine what we claim to be feminine ideals, because those ideals are from a perspective in which men are just now realizing some things, and women are just now realizing some things, that wait a minute, women are a whole different type of animal. And it's like the way that it presents to men, it's like it's brand new, because there's never been a focus on women like it is now that we're presenting the divine feminine. What's going on there, Tawanda? Shout out to you, my girl. But so just really think about this. If you were your male counterpart, would you be faithful? I got that ganja 3000 going on over here. Child, I'm just asking, with everything that you know, because I'm telling you, I can pull, okay? I'm a puller, okay? I'm an activator and I'm a puller. You can let your mind go wherever you want to go with that. But I want to know, with everything that you know about yourself, if you were male presenting and society then gave you a lot more leeway as it relates to relationships, and a lot less judgment when it comes to your exploits, right? What type of man would you be? Because it's a good chance that the man that you would be is who you're attracting. I want you to sit down with yourself. If you have multiple children, I need you to have a seat and listen to it, sis. What type of man would you be? Shout out to you, Tawanda, for posting up our donations in our channel. Thank you so much for that. I am posting on Instagram, like I stated in the community page, which I need you guys to show love so that we can make sure that those alerts go out to everyone. Thumbs up the community page, okay? I'm going to still post like crazy, but show your support, because these are the talks and dialogues in the way that I deliver it. No one, and I mean there's no one on the face of this planet that can do it the way that I do it. No one. I'm me, okay? And you're you. And this is why we're connected, and you're awesome and you're a rock star for it. But make sure you show your love. Make sure you thumbs up the videos. Make sure that you support on all the platforms you're following, the channel, the group, on everything that you can follow us on. Okay, that's what I need from my people, and it helps gauge our interaction. Okay, especially as we start to move into posting new content. Okay, that is the exchange and balance, and I appreciate it 1,000 times beforehand. Okay. But tune me up, because I'm going to tune you up. But respectfully, if you were a man, what type of man would you be? If you know let's be honest, okay? We got sisters out here who be in whole relationships that they help burn to the fucking ground, looking for a savior. There ain't nothing wrong with it. Let's call it out. Because in order for us to be able to even respectfully answer to any other arguments that are being presented between male and female, you first have to come from a place of honesty. Because coming from a place of honesty allows you to speak with conviction. And so when people get to talking they can't come to you with those same, tropes. Because by you being honest and playing your position, okay, you could read through the smoke and mirrors. You know what is a legitimate reflection and what is a deflection. But you can't get there if you're not being honest about your characteristics. Some of us women cannot stand to see other women with a certain man. We will not even be thinking about a motherfucker until we see someone else with that person, and looking at the life that we've helped craft out for ourselves. And though we may or may not involve ourselves, there is a part of us that wants to see some sabotage in order for us to feel convicted in the choices that we've made. Some of us women will straight up hate on a bitch who mad pretty, gorgeous, in her power, call her all kinds of whores and sluts. But the chance that we get to actually, the truth of the matter is that we will do the same things that we persecute the other woman for, because of our insecurities. And that other woman, being that she's bolder about what she says, there's a bit of jealousy and a bit of a bit of detachment from who you really are, and you are offended by this very sexually presenting, not necessarily free, but someone who presents as if, hey, it is what it is. I know I'm fine. I know I'm fire. I know I could pull your nigga. And we get offended. But I guarantee you, someone who's honest like that is more apt to not go and break girl code than some of us who act like we in the church and we could never do wrong and we're an absolute motherfucking angel. Trust me, don't play that. You can't play that shit with me. Okay? I'm well over 10,000 different conversations working with different people, different circumstances, people who are married, people who are going through divorce, people who are side chicks, side dudes, okay? Multiple partnerships, polyamorous, polygamous. You got some broads who will run down on you, but as soon as they find something, they are whored out by their man. I had a sister who I counseled, and she was very uptight, years ago, very uptight about her sexual preferences and appetites, right? And so she got with this guy, and for a while, and I don't expect people to get readings all the time. Once we work through some issues and then they get to some of their goals, right? But after a while, she contacted me. And she was trying to understand if their relationship was going to go to the next level. She had been seeing him for over a year and a half. She was, I guess he was the best lover that she had ever met, right? But she was turned out. And this is not a horror story against people who are swingers and into multiple sex partners. That's not my cup of tea. But do what you do. Do you? Okay. That's not me particularly, because there is a such thing as spiritually transmitted diseases. Okay, but do you? If that's what you into. Plus, me, I'm energetic. Listen. Okay, I don't need any encouragement. I'm already a firecracker. Okay, so it's certain types of energies that I don't need to host. We'll say it that way. Okay. Um. So next thing you know, she's doing swinger parties, and she's doing all of these things, and it's to keep up with him. And she ended up liking it, which is not a surprise to me, because she was extremely repressed, right? But she couldn't understand why he wouldn't commit to her. And I asked her, I said, let me ask you this. Would you ever arrive to that kind of wildness or that kind of lifestyle on your own? And she gave me a bunch of excuses like, well, I mean, sometimes it takes, you don't ever know until you know. I'm like, let's cut the shit. Would you have arrived to that lifestyle on your own? Is it true to you or is it new to you? Okay. And then it took a moment because she didn't want to hear the truth. I said, so you have to understand something. You pretty much were guided into this relationship choice, into this kind of way of doing things. It is human nature for us to find safety with people who are who they are, good, bad, or indifferent. It's human nature for you to want, if you're crazy, if you're consistently crazy, we can trust that this is who you are. But there's a little bit of respect lost when people know, whether they are conscious of it or not, they know that you are vulnerable, in the fact that you don't know yourself, and that it takes someone to help you or I wouldn't even say help you, because it depends on the person, but they know that you are easily encourageable to behave a certain way for what is a motivation, like a motivation of relationships per se. But you're not your own person. I'm having a struggle with it because it's a loss of words, but you're not your own person, right? And I asked her, I said, is this something that you would like, do your friends and close like family members who are your peers know about this? And come to find out they don't. So there's a level of shame that she had with her way of, being intimate in this world. And I'm not saying that you share with your family members or friends all of the details of your bedroom exploits, but trust me, if you are a hardcore swinger, or you're a hardcore person who does group activities, even as taboo as that is, people in your life know about it. They know an aspect of you. They might not know from experience, but they know what kind of person you are. Okay, with exception to certain kinks that primarily go down between two people, or play partners, people know what you are. Okay, come to find out, this guy, we did the reading, he didn't have any intentions on taking it to the next level. He looked at her the same way, I guess, a pimp would look at, and I'm not talking about he was pimping her out, but look at the psychology. It did not bring the tones that you would think that from the male side of things, that a woman who was easily, on his program, he would be apt to marry her. But it was something about the fact that she didn't have some type of dynamic within herself to say, this is my limit. It was kind of like, I know that this is not you, but you're going to do it just for the sake of the relationship. And I could be any person, but because I present the way I do, I was able to get you to be twisted. And though this is something I'm engaging in, it just doesn't sit well with me. And people don't want to admit that to themselves, because a lot of times when you get into these alternative lifestyles, you either go balls to the wall with it because you don't want to say to yourself, I'm exploring something that's taboo that I may end up not liking. You want to justify the fact that you somewhere in yourself are judging yourself. So you demonize being judged, or you even judging yourself, meaning you demonize even your internal voice that's saying, this is not for me. Okay? What's going on there, BB? Tawanda says here, sounds like some of us need straighten ourselves out based on what we are tracking. Absolutely. Now, don't ever get it twisted. You'll have people who will attract to you and then try to convince you that you're attracting them because something's fucked up with you. No, that's a whole other story. You have people who are parasitic, and whether or not you give them attention is a reflection of some areas of your life that you need to heal. But if a person is attracting themselves to you and you are repulsed by them, okay, that's a whole other story. Okay, I have a situation like that now. I'm repulsed by something, and it's like, wait a minute now. I'm not claiming you. I'm repulsed by the energy, but I can't shake it. But listen, that's what happens when you have certain alignments. Okay, power control and people. I've always had that story happen until I took control and took responsibility for it. Where it was a dynamics like that, where I have someone who is imprinting, like trying to imprint and impress upon me something that I don't want. And it wasn't until I started taking responsibility for passive areas of my life to which I may have not been fully present in my power. Okay, not to say that people can't be taken advantage of and people can't be preyed upon, but I do believe in energetic presence and readiness, and I do believe in being responsible with how you're honing your energy. And some things you have to nip in the bud, and it's a firm no, right? So we'll talk about that more on women in dealing with certain types of women and men. When you're dealing with aggressive people who want your energy to facilitate something for their ego, when it really has nothing to do with you. I'm not going to go into the whole construct about narcissism because society is narcissistic. So when I hear or see people talk about narcissism, I'm looking at someone who's making excuses for and need to be pandered to for ultimately their decisions and or involvements with certain people as a way to facilitate lack of responsibility. Okay, it's too much. You see it in the studies, the psychosis and psychological studies. When you see people with abusive partners, it gets to a point where a person has what I call like a reverse narcissist. They feed an energy, and when it gets out of control or becomes inconvenient for them, then it is a problem. But there were clearly signs due to your own trauma, maybe what you were raised with, and also a need for validation. You fed an energy, and now it's going to take you to heal that part of yourself and completely cut it off. Because I'm going to tell you something, if someone's staring down a 45 Magnum, they're going to get the fuck out your face, or they're going to get out your face. Do you understand what I'm saying? Women and men, respectfully, nowadays, I'm not never going to tell a woman square up with a man. He is built for strength, anywhere from 40 to 50 to 60% stronger than you, and you can be double the weight as he is, and that's still going to be true. But one thing that is a equalizer is an equalizer. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes we have to start In society, at some point, we're going to have to train each other to be accountable for what it is that we encourage in our world to exist. Okay? And then on top of that, what we encourage other women to deal with. Because a lot of us women will go and, disrespect the woman who's saying, I'm in a bad situation, and demonize her because we are living vicariously through her. Well, if I had a man, bitch, why don't you be aware of yourself and stop putting yourself in someone else's relationship and talking about how you can do it better or do it worse? See, that's where you fucked up, and that's why you in the position you're in now, because you're not even focused on your own self and your own development. And if he's easily got by you, then he's going to be easily taken from you, bitch. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Again, you're leading from a place of trauma. You're not leading from a place of strength or understanding or truth in your identity. Okay? Some of you, if you were men, you would be just as whorish, if not more whorish. Okay? If you could get away without the labels. So let's keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck now. But some of us put ourselves in positions with certain types of archetypes. And we continuously feed a narrative about what masculinity is, and we accept it. Now, I know that the manosphere and men outside of the spiritual community have been speaking this way, but it's because we have allowed the narrative to get to a point where no one actually holds themselves accountable, because we are not holding ourselves accountable either. Okay? So before you come down on the opposite sex, whether you are male or female, ask yourself, for you men who have multiple partners, if you had a vagina, okay, because women like sex just like men do. We have different hormones. Our bodies are made up differently, but we're all human beings. And to be quite honest with you, the first human being was a woman. And the first human being was not a caveman, so I rebuke that in the name of the Christos, okay? Not all of us were cavemen, honey. Okay? Some of us were literally celestials, okay? And then we came down here in human form. It wasn't no caveman. Cavemen had a lot of hair. Okay, I'm gonna leave it right there. All right? They had a lot of facial hair, a lot of chest hair, a lot of leg hair. And there's certain ones of us that don't come out the pop with all that hair. Okay? So anyhow, let's go ahead and move on from there. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just trying to understand the genetics of who you're talking to. But anyhow, what was I saying? A lot of this is our inability to be real about the positions that we play. You are not ready, sister. We are not ready to take the position of the matriarch, because we inherently don't even understand how the patriarchy were assisted by us in becoming as toxic as they have become. A lot of us don't realize the privileges that we have. And we sit up and act like, oh, there's something wrong with other women. No, bitch, something is wrong with you. Because for what you would create for another woman, knowing that you either may look better than her, your features may be more attractive, or you are pandering to a whole other race, which their issues are not the issues that are found in your own culture. No, the issues are different. So what you're proposing works for you because you would benefit in an arrangement, but for other women it doesn't. Not when we have people who view them or view us a certain kind of way due to their own self issues. You know what I'm saying? But this is what we allow. Women, we allow other women to come into our spaces and dictate to us what our beauty should be, because we are too busy running down on another bitch about what she got and what she doesn't have. There's no sisterhood. There's no girl code. There's none of that. How about this? Before you compete with the bitch, find out if you compatible. Maybe you women could do spiritually a polygamous relationship where this man has the money and the might, the presence and the wisdom to lead a multiple female based homestead. Okay? Maybe your temperament, if you're a competitive woman, your temperament would allot for you to be a sister wife, because the nature of competing means that the person to whom you're competing for is allowing several women. So if you have a competitive nature, maybe it's misplaced aggression, and what it really should be is you should be open to a multiple female sister wife kind of situation. Because some of us non-competitive women, when it comes to that, you would think that it would be the other way around. No, because there are men who will not compete either. Generally, competitive women need to be with competitive men in that way, sexually competitive. Okay, in that way, they complete each other because both want to be sought after. You understand what I'm saying? They both want to be chosen in a way. So you have to understand this world's changing. The way that relationship dynamics are changing. And for you sisters who go and say, well, black men are the only ones who go and date multiple women, let me tell you something. When I was working at my last job before I went off and did business for myself, do you know how many white men offered to pay my bills and they had wives put up? I've talked about this shit. Maybe the whole entirety of me living here in my adulthood to now, to my early adulthood to now, these men have wives, children, private school, bitch, and they would have paid the strength, and some did. So don't sit here and put that as just a black male construct, or that it only happens with certain men. No, that's not true. Sorry to bust your bubble. Oops. The difference is it's going to be the access to power. It's some men right now who in relationships and will still hit it if I allowed it, of different races. The difference is the access to power. That is the gap. I'm not here to coddle men, because essentially the system to which has been created has created damage amongst men. I mean, if it was perfect, then in countries like Afghanistan in Pakistan, you wouldn't have bachi boys, where they're literally taking, subsets within the Muslim religion, who supposedly the Taliban is supposed to eradicate or is against. But in these male-dominated countries, the the women are so suppressed that to have that is a law against men like hitting on a woman if she's married, or raping a woman, or trying to get and go to bed with her because of the religious ideals. And those, when I say it, it may sound like, oh, that's good. Well, it's an extreme expression. Because of that, now little boys from the ages of 8 up until 18 are bocce boys, dancing, putting on makeup, putting on the clothing of women. And I'm not talking about men who were born male and who identify as trans. I'm talking about situations in which this is a child that's being abducted from their village, to the point where it got so bad that the soldiers from the United States, who partnered with the Afghanistan army, had to turn a blind eye to the point where they even went against the United States agreement that they had with these people in Afghanistan, because they would hear little boys screaming in the middle of the night because they were being forced to have sex or being chained to the sides of beds as a sex toy. Even though the men had wives at home, they still had a bocce boy. It's a delicacy. Look it up. BACHI, bocce boys. And now there's a new phenomenon called bocce posh, where it is little girls who then present as little boys in order to have a leg up in society, because they don't want to become married to someone and hidden. Okay? I did a whole capture of it on our community page a couple of months back. Actually, I think it was in June or July that I had looked at that, and I'm like, wow. So, and then what you also found is that these countries, prior to the ISIS regimes and these regimes, they were pretty equal or egalitarian. I'm not saying it right, but they were pretty, westernized. And at that time, money was flowing. Women had the ability to work, had rights. And as soon as they went into this mind state, with exception to Saudi Arabia, the countries lost the same wealth that was springing from them when their women went into hiding and went into these clothing in these positions as third-class citizens. Because again, when you suppress Venus, you suppress your money, you suppress your wealth. We are the factor with the moon and Venus and Neptune that brings in wealth and prosperity. It's even seen in certain Vedic astrology. I observe tropical astrology or Western astrology, but in Vedic astrology, it's even seen that children bring in wealth. Well, the children have to pass through women. So that's a direct correlation to the moon's energy and Venus energy. So the suppression of women equals out a society that is impoverished and lacks political power. Okay? I mean, Liberty herself is a woman, a female goddess. The goddess of war, Athena, has to bless you, or Sekhmet, or Neet, in order for you to even be powerful in war. It's a woman, it's a goddess, not a god, but a goddess that delivers the goods. And Venus can be quite violent and terrifying in her darker presentation. She is Lilith. Okay, never get it twisted. She is Hecate. She's that bitch. Period. I know I have Venus in the 8th house. I also have Dark Moon Lilith in the 8th house. Period. So the power truly lies in the woman. The seat of power is in the woman. It is not about the brawn, the strength. I've always stated this. Look at what men choose. And you know what? Shout out to Ashira Star, because she stated this first. But I've also expanded on this. And what she stated some time ago was, look at what men build. Whenever men build cars, whenever they build anything that represents masculine energy, it's a monster. It's huge. Okay? It's huge in its design. It is built to tear shit down. Why, if they built another human being, would they make a weaker version? Why would they fool with making a woman a weaker specimen when behaviorally and ideologically everything they choose is bigger, stronger, faster, badder? Think about that. And I'm not saying it in a sense of, okay, the woman gave you power because she's stronger than you. Not in the way that you're strong. but psychologically and spiritually. See, this is the issue. In this society, we prize physical brawn over mental brawn. The intellect has never been with the man. You can tell by the arguments that are being presented. The intellect is a spiritual thing. And who is the strongest spiritually? My goodness, I've even shown you the etymology of the word church. It's a vagina. Are we stupid, or are we stuck on stupid? Or are we hooked on phonics? You feel me? So the psychological power, the spiritual power, ebbs and flows and vibrates and initiates from the woman, which then informs the power, the strength, the awesomeness, the glow up. The external representation of her internal power is her man. Her ability to be in her internal power is protected by the masculine power that makes it so that she can be so protected. They work hand in hand. But Eve did not come from a rib. Let's get it understood. Science is telling you that. Simpletons. And I'm not talking to my people. I'm talking to people who like to listen to me in the bushes. Did I not start off by telling you that women have estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone? How do you get estrogen and progesterone from testosterone? Think about that for a moment. Some of us with good pussy even grow a little bit of chin hair, bitch. Ask any natives. Okay? For real. Ask any beautiful Muslim women. And ask them if they have to get a wax or get threaded or shave their sideburns in their chin. Get into it, bitch. It's much easier for a man to have a vagina reconstructed for him if he is trans than it is for a vagina to then be deconstructed to create a penis that will stay functional outside. Because his body pretty much is the lack of it dropping down. All of us start out female in the womb. The difference is the chromosomes kick in, and what would have been his ovaries drop down into testes, and what would have been the vaginal canal drops down into a penis. So if some of us were men, we would be big dick bandits too. Okay? Try that on for size as well. But I'm just keeping it real with you. The reason we don't understand womanhood and we're persecuting womanhood, or we're taking the chances that we are, is because for over 4,000 years, no one has paid attention, or the guard has been changed in such a way to put a woman in a position of religious power or worship or understanding was inherently against the patriarchal structure. Despite the fact that the first religions were led by women, which is what provided the man the crown. Did it make the pharaoh less a pharaoh because he worshiped the goddess? No, it emboldened him because he was the masculine representation of God who could then marry the goddess form. You understand? The goddess wasn't here to say that a male God doesn't exist. She was the embodiment of his counterpart. So there was never a time when male and female were not in equalness until man decided to listen to an entity or entities that inherently are anti-humans. Yeah, run that back. So now that the woman is being called up We are so offended by the manosphere. But look, we have men, if they didn't like you, if they didn't want you, they wouldn't be sitting there paying another man hundreds of dollars trying to figure out how to be with you. But even he, whether he wants to admit it or not, knows that you're not acting in your full power, bitch. You out here competing with another sister as if your pussy don't clamp down. The fuck is wrong with you? As if you can't rock the world, as you're not the mother of the earth. What is wrong with you? We set ourselves up to have low self-esteem. We go for shit that we know is not for us. We set ourselves up for the shit. I'm telling you, you cannot convince me no other way. You know from 5 days, you listen, you know what's yours and what isn't. But your ego is so wrapped up in trying to conquer something outside of yourself, because bitch, you ain't conquered you yet. And you feel like you need something outside of you to conquer you, to then validate you. When you control the dick and pussy, because bitch, it came from you. And as much as he doesn't, he can't admit it because society hasn't allowed for us to understand the totality of femininity for so long. And it would be weird to admit that the woman is dominant in her way. In a different way, though. Do you know that the military even will tell you, CIA and FBI programs, the Russians tell you this all the time, that their spies they send in are generally women. The coldest thing on the planet Earth is a weaponized woman. Was it not a Carol, a Karen, who was able to motivate men to raise pitchforks and go after an 11-year-old, 12-year-old little boy? Carol Bennett, is that her name? Was it not a Helen of Troy that motivated the Trojans to burn the city the fuck down? See, you're looking at it from a whole different wrong way because you don't even understand who you are. And I told you, I said it explicitly. If you understood who your fucking enemy actually was, then you would clue in on who the fuck you are. Does this take anything away from our men? No, it doesn't. But it realigns the axis of power. Because when you realign the axis of power, anyone that is standing in their power is going to be proud to stand next to you in your power. So when I tell you to come correct this year, this is about coming correct with what you know you are. And if it's not, and if who you are, you don't like who that person is because of what that person inherently not just attracts, but actually sleeps with, actually wants to build a life with, and then discovers that it's never going to happen because of the temperaments of first yourself and then the other person. Like I said, you can have a person obsessing over you and looking at you as a token of conquering, and that doesn't mean that that's your fault. It means that other people are parasitic and see you as a cash cow. They see you as, if I get this bitch, it's gonna turn into dollars and cents for me, and then try to convince you that you are not that motherfucker. I have a situation like that. It's like, dude, you know who I am. I'm a living embodiment, even in my worst day, of a Venetian energy. That means I bring cash. I bring wealth wherever the fuck I go. And you used to talking to basic bitches, and I've never been that basic bitch. It's because you're a basic bitch that you don't understand me. And why would I be led by a basic bitch? Think about that. I'm holding out for the archangel. You know what I'm saying? Come on now. The counterpart. What the fuck is you talking about? And it's not a specific person, it is an energy. It's an energy, it's a frequency. Because otherwise we're gonna tell it, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. Not me. Not with me. And it's not because I'm challenging your masculinity, it's because it's not a good fix. I'm not happy. And you're not gonna be happy if I'm not happy. And then it's a self-awareness. If a person can't take responsibility for their own actions and they have a tendency to blame everybody but themselves or put people down because people know what's right for them, then that's a child. And I'm not a pedophile. So I don't seek to be with a child, especially not one in mind, right? But that's because I've taken time to learn for myself, learn about myself. And now it's on and popping. But I'm going to tell you, bitch, if you want to know what it is that you are attracting, look at yourself. And if it's not something you like, if you know that who you intrinsically are, if you were to be a male, it's not ultimately what you see in movies, then start to do the work on yourself and start to answer the call. Okay? Because in 100 years, whether we like it or not, whether you are a woman who is a woman bashing woman or you are a man bashing woman, the male is not going to go down in his superiority. It is now going to be a command that both men and women, if you, the hierarchy is going to include both. And so if you're looking for Prince Charming, unless you are Princess Elsa, then Charming's not coming for you. You got to be just as royal as he is. There's no, oh, I'm going to upgrade your life. No, bitch. We're in the age of Aquarius. If you're not on this frequency, if you're not of this epsilon, spiritually, vibrationally, mentally, motivationally, if you're still doing love spells, you know what I'm saying? If you still competing with motherfuckers and not understanding that you are a lioness and you're just a pack female and you just need to find your tribe of women, okay, to which you can cohabitate with, unless you don't you got to start evolving and understanding your temperaments. You know, when I spoke about polyamory, it's because of what is being represented right now. It's a perversion. It is a perversion. It is sickness. It is because there's no real legacy building that has been attributed to normal relationships or what has been normalized. But if you're trying to build a nation, then you have to have somebody who's able to hold a nation down instead of having just women come through. You understand what I'm saying? No woman that's under them should feel like they have to run away in order to get their sanity back. Women should be running in, piling in to be a part of the program. And to be next to the person, it should put a stamp on that person's royalty. You understand what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that way. So we got to change the scope. And I think that comes in form when we start to inform each other of who we are. The respect factor for womanhood equals out where the respect factor for manhood is. And people are walking in their true power. And then and only then can we have successful relationships that build or breed communities or foster communities where people are focused on doing the right thing for the progression of humanity. Until then, you're going to have these situations, broken homes contributing to delinquents in society, which then furthers the society's morale. It further delinquents the morale of society. And it all starts at home. My grandmother told me that, and this is the reason why I haven't had a random person's child. Charity starts at home. What you do at home, you will do abroad. Let me say it again. Charity starts at home. What you do at home, you will do abroad. Let me say it a third time for the bitches in the back. Charity starts at home. What you do at home, you will do abroad. So the absolute, and this is where the manosphere has it right, The absolute key to the balance of society is within the home environments and between marriages and how we raise our children. Where the manosphere have it wrong is that they do not hold accountable the loss of the guard from the men. You have to take responsibility. You have to be willing to lose your life to keep your life. Because your life means nothing if you're strung out on drugs, if you're on the corner, and if you're in prison. You got to be willing to be revolutionary and blow a motherfucker down if they are blocking you from being able to feed your family. And the moment that you gave that fight up is when you turned into the ruling class's man's bitch. And so your argument is coming from arguing with women the way that women argue with women and not from taking control. Okay? Your suppression is a choice. Period. You allowed another man to come in and tell your woman that food stamps was better than your brawn and your brotherhood that could have brought the bacon home and changed the scope of the dynamic in the world. Okay? So we have to realize the power of the buck breaking that went on between men and women. And though we are not currently experiencing racism like that, thank the Lord, the remnants of it are still in full effect. And if you're going to be real about anything, start looking at yourself, because I guarantee you, for the men, the women you attract, the baby mamas, the hoes, like you like to say, not, you don't attract high dollar hoes. You don't attract call girls. You attract women who, for all intents and purposes, talk about other women being hoes and be doing the most hoish shit. Or it's a $2 hoe. Okay? For all intents and purposes, what you attract is a version of you. So we're going to stop this passing the buck shit, and we're going to keep it real, okay? This is your girl, Nala-Ife. What's going on here? I love y'all. Y'all have a good one. Oh, yes, Kali Ma is fully in the building, okay? My son is, I believe I'm in the third decan of Trinity. My rising is Migashira Nakshatra, okay? And it is in connection to Kali and Lord Shiva, okay? My moon sign is connected to the Ashwini Kumaras, okay, which are the twin horses or twin horsepower around this thing, you know what I'm talking about? Anyway, okay? So I'm definitely rocking the Kali Ma energy, period. And I will burn this bitch the fuck down before I go up and smoke with it, okay? Or for it. Set this hole on fire, period. And that's just where it's at, okay? All right? And you need to be that passionate about your identity, okay? There's not going to be any worrying about, okay, whether or not someone's going to accept you. How do you, when you accept yourself, you can't help but accept what reflects who you are. When you don't love yourself, when you don't love your skin tone, you're going to get with someone who will help you flush out your DNA so that it looks like the popular. Okay? Period. And this is what a lot of our men need to understand. Your attraction is not a situation of behavior. You help create the behavior. Your attraction is really a reflection of your lack of self, because when that image is the image that's being strung up and being beat and being lynched, I guess anyone with rational mind would break into insanity and hate the image that they have. But this is a rude awakening. Melanated people, you are the holders and the protectors of the galaxy. And so if you don't wake the fuck up, all of us are fucked. Period. And that's how it rolls. Okay? You better find out who, you better check in and see what the fuck you want to be. If some of you bitches, let's be honest, you're a concubine trying to be a wife, and that's why your marriage didn't work. But anyway, let me go ahead and head on up out of here. I love y'all. Let me tip on out. On that note, okay, I'm finna tip on out. Okay? Call a spade a spade. You're not ready to be no wife. You've been a part of the concubine fucking class of people for generations. Okay? So just understand that. And don't be, and I'm not hating on you. If you're a concubine, bitch, you're just a concubine. Goddamn. Okay? Let's be realistic about it, okay? You are an assistant. Okay? Your behavior is never going to lie on you. Okay? Your behavior is a telling factor. Okay? Queens hold the nest down. Period. They don't hop. Just saying. Get in where you fit in, all right? And don't be hating on the queen bees. Everybody got to play their role. Okay? But it ensures that not just the royals get taken care of, the royals can actually do their job and it serve humanity. You understand? Figure out where you fit into the pie and get to work. This is your girl Nala-Ife signing off for Nala-Ife Talks Live. Off the chain and unscripted. I love y'all. Peace.